Well, hello everybody and welcome to The One Show with Alex Jones.
And Matt Baker. Now, can we have some order in the studio, please? Because tonight we're joined by a Strictly star who is charged with a number of offences.
That's right. So far, there's been no murder on the dance floor, but he is accused of jiving without due care and attention.
Order in the ballroom.
That sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet.
You can actually dance, you know.
I can see but you when you dance, feel a good creeping up on you. So just dance, come on. All those things I shouldn't do.
A cute eight.
Dance, and ain't nobody leaving. So
7.
I can't stop the feeling. So just dance.
I love a little dance montage, don't you? You can't go wrong.
Please welcome to The One Show, Strictly star Judge Rinder. Welcome. Lovely to see you.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yes.
It's so nice to be able to talk to both of you about your experiences of it. I've been watching videos of both of you.
Oh, video,
Matt,
don't watch me.
well,
That
no,
would be a
both of-
mistake.
Matt, you were amazing.
He was.
Well, I enjoyed myself. I did enjoy myself.
Yeah.
And we are very much looking forward to talking about Strictly, of course, and finding out what you've got planned. Because Oksana's in as well tonight. Good evening. We're over very shortly, which is lovely. But we want to start with your actual profession, as far as law is concerned. Because,
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
you are a barrister.
Yes. Lots and lots of very serious cases, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, it tells you, Matt, that you never know what's going to happen in life. A few years ago, I was making quite serious submissions in very difficult and complicated cases, some of them with international significance.
Yeah.
And then... fast forward 3 years... and I was-
Dressed as a Flintstone.
Well, or I was standing... Exactly. Or was that moment I was wearing lederhosen when Boris Becker walked past. And he said, oh, you look nice. I was wearing that 2 weeks ago. No, he's sort of... So, you know, whatever you're doing, you just never know where it's going to take
And
you.
that's the lovely thing about life. But just to clarify, because they call you Judge Rinder all the time, I mean, we need first name terms.
You can
here.
call me Judge. No, you can call me... you can call me Robert.
Lovely.
Robert.
Yes.
OK, good.
Robert,
Well,
lovely.
Robert is not the only person connected to Law and Order here tonight. Shortly, we are going to be joined by an ex-MI5 officer who spent nearly a decade undercover trying to keep the public safe from the UK's most dangerous terrorists.
And now, last week, we were reminded of just how severe the current threat level is after a suspicious package on a train led to the evacuation of a tube station.
But where our security is concerned, how vigilant are the British public? Well, Trisha Doodoo has been to Coventry to find out.
Coventry's West Orchard shopping centre attracts more than 6 million shoppers every year. And like other public places across the UK, its security teams are always on the lookout for any suspicious items left unattended. However, they also rely on us, the public, to be alert too. So are we up to the task?
Well, we're going to put the people here to the test to find out just how security conscious the people of Coventry are.
The central atrium is the busiest thoroughfare, an ideal place for me to accidentally leave my suitcase. As it sits unattended, we'll monitor just how many report it and how many simply walk on by. To help me, I've recruited the former head of the Counter-Terrorism Security Office, Chris Phillips.
Why is it so important to do this experiment?
We've seen terrorist attacks across Europe, and more recently we've seen an attack in New York where pipe bombs were left, and these things are lethal. So it's really important that people act in the right way when they see something.
Well, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I am going to bet you that Coventry people are vigilant.
I really hope you're right.
Chris and I head to the cafe to keep an eye on how people react. The local police and shopping centre management are all in on the experiment. If anyone does want to report the suitcase, there's a security guard just a few shops down.
It's been out there for about 30, 40 minutes, and not one person has clocked that suitcase is there.
So why have people simply ignored it?
You did not notice a big suitcase as you walked through, did you?
No, should I? Don't. Sometimes you just... It's A to B, isn't it? Sometimes you just got to get to where you got to get.
I was just thinking about catching my train, to be honest, so I wasn't even really focusing on the environment, really.
This couple have spent 8 minutes standing next to the suitcase and still they haven't noticed it. So I go over and point it out.
Do you have a quick look behind you?
goodness.
Can you see it now?
You're
Can you see it? Right.
It just goes to show how easy it is to miss
Yeah.
something that's so obvious.
How does that make you feel?
I think that makes it even more scary, the fact that we're not vigilant enough.
After 50 minutes, someone finally takes notice. I've just seen someone clock the suitcase. I'm going to talk to him.
I'm an ex-soldier and kind of like I'm always aware that if stuff is like left, just always makes me wonder what's in it.
Because you did a double take.
I wanted to see whether there was anybody nearby, but when there didn't seem to be, I thought I'd better report it.
Good man.
Thank you. Cheers.
Chris has been counting the number of shoppers who do and don't notice the bag. He spotted something about some of their behaviour.
So intent on what they're doing that they're not actually paying attention to the surroundings.
In the shopping centre's control room is Head of Security, Steve Phillip.
Why aren't people more vigilant?
When something terrible happens, then we're all very vigilant. But I think we're very quick to lapse back into old ways. Although we've got a number of cameras, we can't see everything all the time, and we need that vigilance from people. It's imperative they report it.
Steve, this couple have looked and pointed, but we
what
can
have they
see
done
on
about
another camera they've
Let's
just
see,
done nothing.
this is them coming here now, so what are they going to do?
Are they going to report it?
So they're walking past the guy on the phone stand.
Oh my goodness, they've just walked straight out of the centre.
Eventually, some more people do come forward to report the suitcase.
That didn't look right at all. It was also a dirty bag, and I thought, that's not normal for someone's luggage.
I thought, oh my goodness, a case. You know, it sort of took me back for a minute. You've got to be aware of these things these days.
So, what should we do if we see something suspicious? Chief Inspector Richard Harding has the latest advice from the Counter-Terrorism Office.
Please don't be embarrassed. Please don't be concerned that you're causing a fuss. Go and tell somebody in one of the shops, get them to speak to security, get the security for the centre down, and if you can't do any of that, dial 999 and get the police involved.
Time for me to reclaim my case and find out how alert Coventry's shoppers are.
Over 3,500 people walked past this suitcase in the time that it was there. Only about 20 people actually reported it to security.
That is dreadful.
This does go to show that people are really in their own bubble. Everyone's in a hurry these days. Some of the people that did spot it were the older generation who actually had a bit more time on their hands.
Well, the people of Coventry aren't as vigilant as I thought they'd be. I know from now on, I'll be keeping my eyes open.
But for now, it's case closed.
He's got a super level IQ.
Now, to protect the identity of our next guest, we've had to temporarily clear out tonight's audience, and we've closed the blinds behind us.
Yes, we have. Now, Tom Marcus, not his real name, spent nearly a decade deep undercover working as a mobile surveillance officer for MI5. His new book, Soldier Spy, tells the story of his career. Tom, thanks for joining us. Thanks for being here. So we know that the security threat in the UK is at severe.
Yeah.
Now, if everybody at home knew what you know, would we feel reassured or more worried?
I think absolutely reassured, especially in this country, and the purpose of Soldier Spy is to give the other side of that story that hasn't up to yet been told. You know, when people turn on the news, it's easy to be funneled into that we're constantly under attack, living in this dangerous world. But the purpose of the book is to tell the fact that there are people out there relentlessly hunting these people down, putting ourselves between them and you are completely safe. You know, we've got your security completely under control.
And so, how did you go about hunting these people down then? I mean, you say in the book that a lot of the people that you bring to justice didn't realise it was you that put them there. So how do you go about maintaining that level of anonymity?
So there's a lot of different roles within the security service MI5. My particular role, as you say, was a mobile surveillance officer. So I would be on the streets in the UK every single day, day and night, with the rest of the surveillance teams. And we'd be tasked to watch everything that our potential targets or people of interest, everything that they do, we would notice. We've got other strands of the service that watch and analyse their electronic activity, you know, internet and stuff like that. But we were on the ground watching absolutely everything they do, and they never know we're there. And it's important that they don't know we're there because we can't get tied up in the prosecutions of these people. We need to stay on the streets where we belong to stop all these attacks happening.
Yeah, and you talk about a lot of different cases in the book, obviously. And in one instance, you foiled a bomb plot that was intended to kill a bus full of children.
Yeah.
So how did you manage that then?
There's a lot of potentially scary attacks that happen over the years, as you can imagine, and we're extremely successful in stopping them. But this particular one, we knew this target was intending on committing mass murder. We knew his interest was a local school. We just didn't know the finer details, so we were watching him day and night. And I seen this target coming into last prayers at his mosque, and I'd noticed the bruise on his forehead starting to become a little bit bigger, indicating that he's praying far harder, which in some cases for extremists means they're going towards their end game, so they're getting closer to their attack. As the people left the mosque, I counted the female worshippers going in, because there was only a few going into the mosque, and as people started leaving on mass exit, there was 2 more female worshippers dressed in full burqas hiding their identity than there were that went in.
Ah, right.
So that alerted me to the fact that, you know, he's potentially changed his identity. He's trying to slip out the net. So the team's desperately searching for all these different possible targets who look like our individual. And as I was dressed as a tramp, soaked in my own urine, you know, trying to live the cover of blending into the streets. And as these 2 extra figures walked past me, I noticed the garment rise up, and he had this figure had the same sandals that our target had going into the mosque. So there's another good indicator that he's potentially our guy, but we still didn't know. And as it transpired, he eventually went to a local house, dressed back into male clothing, shaved his beard off, and got into a local vehicle that we got partial registration plate. We passed that back to the intelligence officers at Thames House, and they then came up with a background intelligence that it was our target, and then we called in what we call executive action, which is a hard arrest, just to stop that attack happening.
I mean, looking back now, I mean, how do you describe your kind of state of mind over that 10 years? I mean, how intense to live that life?
For me, it was never... I didn't grow up wanting to work for MI5, and I fell into it being recruited from the military, and it's something I was always kind of good at, coming from a broken home, and I was never bullied as a kid, but I was always that scruffy, unwashed kid in the corner that no one included, no one spoke to, and it kind of lent itself to being able to blend into the background and just see what's happening. But the pace of operations is so quick and so fast that you don't really deal or think about the potential horrors or the trauma that you've been through that day or seen. And ultimately, that compounded and built up, and the service diagnosed me with post-traumatic stress disorder, and I had to leave. But it's almost like a compounded effect. If you don't talk about things, if you don't deal with it, if you don't have time to deal with it, then it inevitably
And just really quickly, lots of people don't think that we have the resources to track down the people that need tracking down. Can you put our mind at ease in terms of that?
Oh, absolutely.
Have we got a grip on it?
Absolutely. You know, anyone who reading Soldier Spy will absolutely come away with the fact that you are in the safest place in the world. You know, I never felt that we didn't have the resources. I never felt that we didn't have enough money. When we're on the streets hunting these guys down, we are absolutely relentless in controlling them. You know, and if you want to stay at home in the middle of the day eating pot noodles, you do that, because we've got your security completely under control. You are safe.
Okay.
Well, Tom, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us. And Tom's book, Soldier Spy, is out now.
Right, we're moving on from MI5 to the M25 now.
Here's Arthur with the story of a ring road that is soon to celebrate a very special anniversary.
This Capri was on the road 30 years ago, which is when the M25 was built. It's rather lovely in a retro sort of way, unlike that horror. Yes, it's the M25's birthday. Have you had some bunting out? Probably not. It does have some fans, but it's more widely known as the road to hell. It was controversial when it was only a dream. There were big protests and no fewer than 39 public inquiries. Then 11 years to build, with more than 3 million tonnes of asphalt. In fact, one of the workmen on Junction 27 was none other than Bob Geldof. A delighted Mrs. Thatcher declared it a showpiece in engineering. But there was a breakdown just 1 hour later. Well, I don't drive myself, but I've got the facts here. This is my vintage copy of I Spy on the Motorway. Things can't have changed that much, can they, since 1986? Who better to ask than Ray Hamilton, a man who's driven around the M25 so often, he must be giddy. What is so fascinating about the M25, Ray?
What I love about it, Arthur, is it's this seething mass of humanity on the move, involving commuters, people trying to get to visit their families, people trying to get to the airport to catch a flight, truck drivers.
I believe when it opened it was used by 88,000 cars a day.
It was, yeah. Now we're talking about 250,000 cars. We're a tailbacks. The longest one was 49 miles. While we're on statistics, we're talking about 33 massive junctions, 234 new bridges just to make the thing work.
Ray, what would happen if there were no M25?
Well, they reckon now if you close the motorway that within a day or two the traffic in and around London would have come to a standstill, and that within a week hospitals would be running out of supplies. So, you know, love it or loathe it, the M25 is keeping us going.
There have been some weird and wonderful road users. On an unopened section, a light aircraft piloted by a young man who took it one night from an airfield. A couple even spent their honeymoon going round and round in a coach with a double bed in the back. A cyclist brazenly pedalling towards Heathrow. And a wild goose chase, every lane closed. One character with a taste for life in the fast lane walked right across the M25. We thought he'd like to take another sneak at where he was found. Here you are. Somehow, he plodded across 5 lanes of traffic in rush hour. And to be honest, he doesn't seem too happy to be back. His new name is Freeway, but whose is he?
We had several interesting claimants. One guy saved some of his tortoise's poo and wondered if we could do a DNA test. We called him Freeway because we thought he was microchipped in America, but we've since found out that he was bought in a Belgian pet shop, so he's an EU migrant.
Freeway has a new home and his adopted country has held out the hand of friendship. There's another side to the M25. Alistair Humphreys is an adventurer who's been just about everywhere, and he says a trek near a home was just as big a challenge.
2 of us set off to try and walk 127 miles around the motorway in a week.
The M25?
Exactly. I wanted to try and show that you don't need to go to the ends of the world to have an adventure and to find beautiful places. It was January, it was cold, we slept like hobos under a plastic sheet just wherever we ended up at night.
And what did you eat?
We lived like kings on a big diet of juicy cheeseburgers, but without the burgers or cheese, so we ate ketchup sandwiches mostly for a week.
For Alistair, the best part was right here on the ancient Pilgrim's Way, just a couple of fields from how we get about today.
I came to appreciate the beauty that we were on and how near that was, and no one there really notices the beauty and the quiet and the hills that are so near to them.
Well, 126.5 miles to go. This'll keep me going.
Did you eat chocolate?
And the M25 was the reason why I was slightly later than usual today.
Oh, go on.
Well, it was, you know.
Just busy.
Oh, no,
We've heard it all before.
Yeah, traffic.
Right, we are now joined by the lady who we can thank or blame for Judge Rinder's dance moves. Oksana, it's lovely to see you, Oksana.
Right, nitty-gritty time.
You've done a brilliant job so far, we have to say. But Halloween is a big one. I mean, everybody loves the Halloween special. So can you give us any clues at all? How's it been going? What are you doing?
Well, you need to ask the teacher.
Go on then, Oksana.
Well, first of all, Halloween is my favourite holiday and I'm so super excited.
So when she announced that Halloween was her favourite holiday, I wasn't surprised. But do carry on.
OK, good. And can we say what might be happening as far as...
So we're going to be dancing Paso Doble to Lady Gaga Born This Way. And we're not taking a traditional approach to Paso Doble. We're going to be a moth and a butterfly. But with the choreography, I still try to stay as authentic and true to the dance.
Yes.
So we do have paso steps, but
Len will be pleased.
Dressed as...
Yeah, Len will be pleased.
Moth and a butterfly.
Yeah.
A moth and a butterfly.
My dad's petrified of moths, I'll have to warn him.
Well, it's Halloween.
Yeah.
Can we mention this bit of exclusive? Because moths and butterflies don't always stay on the ground, do they?
No, that is true.
Yeah.
It is an exclusive just for you and just for the Wonderful One show.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is my first flying lesson.
Wow.
Amazing.
I'm hoping it's going to be sort of more moth and high-spirited than Anne Widdecombe. But there you are.
Yes, actually, Anne was my year. It was memorable. That's the point. So, Robert, you were 7th on the leaderboard. I mean, realistically, what are you hoping for in the next... I'm going to say the next few weeks.
Oh, that's really kind. Do you know what? I'm not sure if you felt like this both when you did it. I think we just want to get better each week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought we really, really enjoyed last week. I loved it. We had so much fun. I definitely think we got better. And, you know, Oksana, I said this last week. Oksana, of course, choreographs it. I think people don't realise this. But also, she's an incredible teacher. So I get homework, and she's been helping learn how to count dances, which is fantastic. So for me, really, I don't know how far we can go. What I hope is that we can just get a little bit better each week.
Yeah.
And you don't do it just for you. I mean, when they say dancing with his partner, you think to yourself, well, that's true, but really you're dancing with your teacher, aren't you?
Yes,
and
you
the
are.
choreographer more than anything else.
Yeah, I'm no Len Goodman.
You know
Obviously. No, I'm no Len
Oh, you're
Goodman,
no
but I
Len,
thought last week was a lot better. I thought it was brilliant,
Yes, we
actually.
got an 8 from it, and of course from the exquisite, glorious Darcy as well.
Oh,
Poor
yeah.
Craig. I know I meant this. He wanted to give us more. It was just, you know, he was so overwhelmed.
He picked up the wrong paddle.
By the time, exactly, he was struggling to find the right paddle under the table. There was a lot going on, I think.
So, Oksana, you do Dancing with the Stars as well in the US. This is your first year here in the UK on Strictly. How do they both compare then? Are they similar, or is it a bit more homely here? We're hoping it is.
They are similar because Strictly Come Dancing is such a brilliant show that it's spread all over the world, and Dancing with the Stars is the version of it. And I absolutely had the best time being a part of it. It's like the dream job for a dancer, to be honest. And the biggest difference for me, because in America I didn't have a celebrity dance partner. I was just a part of the troupe, so I was doing all the professional numbers, and now it's completely new journey in my life.
It's great that you're the first one.
I felt a bit guilty, you know, she was in sort of Los Angeles, you know. And the next thing, she was sort of standing in my courtroom. I felt, you know, poor darling, but there you are.
Have you been to Britain before this series, then?
I have been to Blackpool, of course.
Oh, you've been to Blackpool?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Here's the thing, you know, when I first started, I loved the show, and I'm such a fan of it. And, you know, you remember this, you used to hear people say, oh, my whole life, I was on a plane once, and I remember there was a movie with some big movie star. What was her name? You'll remember in a second. That's right, Jennifer Lopez. She was a ballroom dancer. My whole life, all I ever wanted to do was get to Blackpool. I think I was on a plane, I'd had a glass of champagne, I thought... Right. And it turns out it is, as you know,
it's the Mecca.
Holy Grail, the Mecca.
Yeah.
And so, you know, this means the absolute world to Oksana, right?
Lovely.
You were saying that the Blackpool champion is the biggest thing ever. Right?
Yeah, I think it's better than being a world champion.
I know. You've been to
the Blackpool champion is better than being the world champion.
Wow.
You heard it here. That's tremendous.
Yeah. And we know that Benedict Cumberbatch is a big friend of yours. Any chance we'll see him in the audience clapping
well, at the
you on?
moment, as you know, he's promoting the brilliant Doctor Strange, which I saw the other day. Wow.
Oh, yeah?
It's amazing.
Good.
So when he's finished that, I don't know, you'll have to watch this space. Well, maybe, we'll see.
Yeah, well, before that, you can catch Robert and Oksana and the remaining Strictly contestants on Saturday, 6:45 this weekend on BBC One.
Now,
I keep waving at that. I don't know why.
It's because of Strictly. Vote for us!
You know when you're with... you're standing... Exactly, you're standing with...
Claudia.
At the top. I can't... You know, I keep... I forget everybody's name. You're standing with Claudia at the top and you sort of wave at yourself. I have no idea why.
It's all right. People at home are waving back. Now then, on Tuesday we met Ross, but now it's time to meet another member of this year's Team Rickshaw, who will shortly be setting off on the Rickshaw Challenge for BBC Children in Need.
Now, this is Andy, and here's why he wants to be involved in this year's challenge.
Hi, I'm Andy, and I'm in training for the biggest challenge of my life, the Rickshaw Challenge. I live near Chesterfield with my mum, my dad, and my 2 dogs. I also have a brother who's at university at the moment. I'm currently at 6th form at Lady Manners School in Bakewell, and I'm doing my A-levels.
Loves all different sorts of sport.
And he's very competitive.
He is quite competitive.
He can create a competition out of just about everything.
I really enjoy sports, and I really love being part of any sporting team, but rugby and cricket are my 2 main sports, I'd say. In the summer of 2012, I started to feel quite ill.
He had a weird infection, chest infection, and it wasn't very well. He had tonsillitis.
Started getting really tired and I started getting headaches and being quite lethargic. My mum decided that it'd be best to take me for a blood test.
They then phoned back within 2 hours and said, take him back to hospital now. And they sent us to the Sheffield Children's Hospital. It said above the door, oncology and haematology, at which point you just think, ooh, really ill.
Finding out I had leukemia is something you just can't prepare for. No one expects to sort of be given news like that. Initially, I was just shocked. Within the day, I was starting having my treatment. I had a course of chemotherapy.
Immediately, they took him up and they put a sort of tube straight through into the heart for putting the chemo into it.
The treatment was horrible. I was so sick, and sort of the chemotherapy makes you really tired.
It was painful, some of what he got. Whenever they were sort of tapping into his spine to take samples and things like that, I think that has an effect that, you know, instantly causes headaches.
Some days I'd be thinking, oh yeah, I can deal with this, I'm gonna show what for, and then other days me and my mum would just sit in the hospital room and cry.
They then said, actually, there's a 70% chance that it'll come back. But if we have a bone marrow transplant, then we can reverse it back the other way again.
Very quickly, they were starting to try and find donors through the Anthony Nolan Trust, and I was then told that they'd managed to find me a match, and that was fantastic.
He had to have lots of different drugs over the space of a week. Just horrible, horrible to watch him being poisoned, really. But that's the treatment. The treatment is quite brutal.
My involvement with the Ellen MacArthur Cancer Trust first started when the doctors and nurses said that there's an opportunity for you to go sailing. It's really helped me to be more confident. It feels like a proper family because everyone understands what everyone else has been through. They give other people the opportunity to share experiences about being ill, or equally not say anything and still be understood. I heard about the Rickshaw Challenge off the Ellen MacArthur Cancer Trust. Hopefully I'll be able to keep people smiling throughout all of it, and at the same time putting some real effort into making sure that we do the 470 miles in record time. The biggest obstacle of doing the Rickshaw Challenge will definitely be the early mornings.
I've got to explain to him that 5 o'clock doesn't exist.
He's not an early morning person, so that might be quite hard.
I think we'll be a really strong team, and I'm really looking forward to help raise some money for some fantastic charities.
There's absolutely no way he will give up. He will make it. Andrew will be there right to the last wet, cold, dark minute. He'll be there.
There you are.
Interesting hearing he's not an early morning person.
No, but
no choice,
I think
Andy.
he'll be brilliant for the hills when he's absolutely lashing it down.
Strong.
Well, you can show your support for Andy and the rest of Team Rickshaw by making a donation, please.
Yes, you can donate £5 by texting the word TEAM to 70405.
Or to donate £10, just text the word TEAM to 70410.
And really, that's the one that we want. Now, those texts will cost your donation, plus your standard network message charge, and all of your donation will go to BBC Children in Need. You must be 16 or over, and please do ask for the bill payer's permission.
For more information and full terms and conditions, please go to bbc.co.uk/Pudsey, where you can also donate online if you want to give a different amount. The lines are open now, so please do give what you can.
Well, there we are. That's all we've got time for this evening. A big thank you to our guests tonight, Robert Rinder and Oksana, and also Tom Marcus.
Now, I'll be back tomorrow with Al-Marie here, and we'll be joined by Michael Bublé. I can't wait. See you then. I know.
Get back to training, you two. We'll see how you get on Saturday. Looking forward to it. Good night.
Bye.